In general, when you hear the term foam roller, most often people are talking about something like this. And in my opinion, if every person had to buy one piece of home fitness equipment, this would be the thing. Often you can find one for pretty affordable, $10. If you look on Amazon, they sell them all over the place. But this is not the only piece of equipment that's utilized as a foam roller. Foam rolling is one of the safest things that you can do by yourself, especially if you have a gentle foam roller. It's almost difficult to be too aggressive. If it's too hard for you, your body's gonna kick you out. You'll roll right off of it or it will hurt too bad. Foam rollers are fantastic and there are a lot of different options. If you're new, please be mindful. You're better off getting something softer than too hard, because even if it's soft, you can continue to work on it versus getting something too firm that you're not ready for. This is a much less intense foam roller, but it does serve well when you're inflamed or in more pain to have a softer foam roller available. But other things that can be used when doing self-myofascial release, some common items are a lacrosse ball. If I want to be very aggressive, I will use a good old-fashioned cookie roller, and you can get these anywhere. They're not expensive. It is a lot more aggressive. Be mindful if you're going to be going this aggressive. Hopefully you're very familiar with foam rolling. I would not suggest someone jumping to using something this aggressive unless you're pretty advanced doing myofascial release for yourself. I'll use it on my calves, sometimes my neck, my shoulders. There are less aggressive versions of this that are smaller. I'm a little bit of a redneck. If I can find something that's cheaper or more practical, then I will use that. If you're new and you have a cookie roller, I'm not saying it's not appropriate. You just have to be a lot more cautious about the amount of pressure you're putting when you're using that as a foam roller. These are other massage foam rolling, little spiky balls, and they are very, very good for your neck and smaller parts of your body as well. Different things that can be used when you're doing foam rolling. You don't necessarily have to use a traditional foam roller. This is one that it was sold as a roller for your foot and it vibrates. I can turn it off and on to add a vibration component. You can also use kettlebells, and I'll try to show you a version of that. For example, I will sometimes lay like my neck and just apply a little bit of pressure as I work on different knots and soft tissue places. But all of these, please be mindful, be careful. You always need to remember that you are your own individual. What's safe for somebody isn't necessarily safe for you. If there's any doubt in your mind, go lighter versus more aggressive as you become comfortable with the patterns of movement and slowly advance. You could start with something like this that's softer and less aggressive and progress to something like this. Some people are even using PVC pipe, which you can get cut at Home Depot or somewhere where you can use PVC pipe of varying thicknesses as you use that as your foam roll equipment. Lots of options. Let's go ahead and get into different foam rolling strategies. If something feels uncomfortable, modify, have less of your weight on the foam roller and more off of the foam roller. There's different ways that you can adjust the pressure by how much you're pushing into the foam roller. For example, you can start with the foam roller up against the wall or in a chair, on the floor. All of these are different strategies to adjust the difficulty and tension you're permitting into your body. If you're going too aggressive, you can cause more harm than good. And then what are we even doing here? Let's go. Before you get started, try to clear the space where you're gonna be working. Make sure you have plenty of room to be rolling around. If you don't have enough room, you're gonna compromise getting the most out of the foam rolling process. You do wanna be working the joints around the joint that you are working. If you're working the shoulder, you might want to work at least down to the elbow, maybe even into the wrist, up into the neck and the thoracic as well as cervical spine. It is almost always beneficial to rest the joints above and below the tissues surrounding that structure. One part of our body is injured does affect the rest of our body. I can get a little more pressure into the foam roller by lifting my feet. If you have a couch or anything available like that, a chair, that alone will put a little more pressure into the foam roller. You might want to weight shift so that one side, say your right or your left, is getting a little more tension than the other if need be. You might want to spend a little more time weight shifted onto your right shoulder, weight shifted on your left shoulder, and not just centralized in the foam roller. So I'm going to shift onto my right side. Have your feet however you like, even if you want them long. Make sure you're able to roll on the foam roller. Switching to the other side, weight shifting towards my left shoulder. Work until the tension you feel on the foam roller is released and relieved. Sometimes you have to spend a lot of time for that to go away. And then I'm going to work my way back to the center. As I lay into the foam roller, I'm going to be pushing my neck and back into the floor. Where that foam roller is, it's going to provide a counter pressure. So if I'm lower on my spine, any segment that I hit as I push back, that will somewhat serve as to stabilize those joints that are in the foam roller as you push pressure into the foam roller. And then you can kind of work individually up the spine. Sometimes I will brace my neck and do a chin tuck, but I'm actually pushing this way. My hands are just bracing so that I can segmentally work a little bit joint by joint through my vertebrae as I go up and down on the foam roller. So you can make it even more of a chin tuck just by nodding that chin either down straight towards your neck or directly behind it, almost like you're creating a double chin. You can roll as fast or as slow as you would like. I know there are people that try to elevate their body. If you are more advanced, you can add more pressure by increasing the elevation of your legs, putting more and more pressure into that foam roller. You can also hold a weight on wherever part of your body you want more counter pressure. I'm gonna move to my lats. If you find tightness, spend a little more time there. You can change the position of your arm. It will make a difference. I'm pretty tight there, actually. You can even pause. If you find tightness, spend a little more time there. You can change the position of your arm. It will make a difference. I'm pretty tight there, actually. You can even pause and just kind of rock in one area. In the event that you're brand new and you're not able to tell if you foam rolled long enough to get the tension out of whatever you're working, then maybe focus on a number of repetitions, say even 20, but learn to listen to your body in the process. Give it some time and see if that helped. If it did, maybe go to 30 times or 40 times, but be in the process of listening to your body. Can you be more aggressive? That stretch for me in particular was pretty hard. I might even benefit from using the softer foam roller for that. But if you don't have different options, just ease off of the amount of pressure that you're putting into the foam roller by taking more weight either in your arm or your hips or your legs. The more you offset your weight from going in the foam roller, the less aggressive the stretch is going to be. So I'm just trying to target this area. And the tension should start to ease up. Maybe this way and get a little more of the posterior upper part of my shoulder. You're just changing the way your weight is shifting to change what tissues you're targeting. Yay! You can use a table, you can use a mat, you can use a bench, whatever it is that you have. I'm going to be doing the under part of my arm. I hope it serves you to see the back side of the movement. So to do my right arm, I'm going to spin around and hopefully that can help you see another angle of the same technique. The more I push my arm down into the rolling pin, the more aggressive it is. So here, my hand is facing down. And then if I bring my hand up, that's a little bit of a different area. I do recommend going until the tension is no longer felt in whatever you're working. But don't force it, because that's really not going to help. It does not speed up the process to rush to be in a place that you're not ready to be. If you have something like this, I can add the vibration if I want, but you can do this instead. Okay, same thing. Changing the rotation will change which tissues are facing down on the upper part of my arm. This is more tricep. The more my thumb goes that way, out, and it's going to be more bicep the more my thumb faces down. Front of the arm versus the back of the arm flexors versus the arm extenders of the elbow. And if you feel your forearm is part of your shoulder pain or problems, there's nothing wrong with doing your forearm as well. I feel it best with my thumb down. Even with something like a kettlebell, if you find a knot, you can kind of work it like this. And I actually do have a knot there. So you can kind of move your arm on the kettlebell. You can also press into the kettlebell and then release. Press in and release. Whew. Okay, same thing with if you're using a ball. So if I was home, I would probably put this on my chest and either on a wall or on the floor, but I want you all to be able to see me, so I'm going to try to see if I can do it this way. So you're putting the softball or whatever you're using, tennis ball, anything there, as you work on rolling that area of your body out. It might look a little strange, but I'm telling you, if you have tightness there, it's really going to help. The more you let your weight sink into the ball, the more aggressive the stretch is going to be. Okay, I'm leaving the ball there. We're going to switch to a little bit of a different task. Leaving the ball there, and it's right there on the top part of my chest, kind of where the strap is at for my top. I'm going to switch to the other side. Under my left chest. And I'm going to do my arm movement. And as my arm is moving, that's serving to roll that tissue over the ball. You might have to kind of work around to see where it works best for you. Ooh, yeah, I found a knot. So I can put the ball on that knot and then do the shoulder movement. Bear in mind that any area you want to do foam rolling on, or any self-myofascial release technique, what you're going to aim to do is to get the roller, whatever type of roller you're using, even if it's a traditional foam roller or the miniature versions of this, target whatever you want to foam roll. Put the item you're using as your foam roller wherever you're working, and then you're going to press into that and roll. Now, if you're able to be mindful of the way you're rolling, that can be very helpful, because you can do like a cross friction style and change where you're rolling up to down, left to right. But cross friction wise, you're going to be working perpendicular to the muscle fibers. So say we know the bicep runs this way, you can be doing your cross friction rolling over. And you can also do this with your fingers, but that is then a different style. The foam rolling technique is when you're rolling something over whatever you're using and whatever treatment area you're working on. So if I'm working on my chest, I can roll the foam roller or the ball over my chest, even my forearm, the back of my arm. And usually the smaller tools are a lot better at getting the smaller areas. And you can get a tool that's a lot like a cookie roller, but it's actually designed for those smaller muscle groups. If you want to be working on up in your lats, around your shoulder, the back of the shoulder, your bicep, your tricep, any area that you can get that foam roller and work on rolling the tissue over the roller, whether the roller's on the wall or on a table, on the floor. Don't be too aggressive. You're better off going at a lighter intensity and a lighter pressure and spending more time there than being super aggressive. That's just going to continue to make those tissues much more angry and much more inflamed, where you're not going to be doing anything productive if you're overly aggressive. So bear that in mind. I know typically we think of ego lifting, but there is ways to do ego everything. And I can favor one shoulder by rolling over the foam roller, be more under one shoulder. Again, make sure you have plenty of range to be able to work on the skill you're performing. I kind of like it. I don't know if you can see this or not, but if you get the base of your head on the end of the foam roller, where there's a little bit of pressure to that sub-occipital region, a little bit of pressure there, that is a really good way to do this. You can add a chin tuck, and that will be a huge level up in terms of effectiveness of this foam rolling. This is the supine snow angel. And I'm adding a chin tuck into the top of the foam roller. So the ridge of the foam roller is giving me a little bit of pressure into the suboccipital part of my head, where there's a lot of tension because a lot of muscles attached there. It's really nice. I'm using the foam roller now on just that suboccipital, rolling my head side to side. Be very cautious. And if you have any history of neck injuries, do not do this. If you have any adverse symptoms when doing these, dizziness, nausea, increased pain, any of that, stop right away. Let your doctor know ASAP. You should have zero adverse response, and if you have an adverse response, stop right away. For this next skill, you're actually going to get up against a wall, and you're going to brace the foam roller behind your neck and lean into a stable wall. So I'm putting this foam roller right behind my neck so that it falls in line with my neck, so that it's going with the curvature that already exists in my cervical spine. I'm not forcing it to be anywhere else, but I'm able to push in and even add a bit of a chin tuck. So I'm pushing back into the foam roller, and I'm just gonna rotate my head side to side. Just pushing into the foam roller with my neck, the curvature of my neck matching the curvature of the foam roller. And I'm just gonna add a chin tuck. Very gentle. Now I'm just gonna add a chin tuck. There are usually two different ways that chin tucks are instructed. The most common one I use is going straight back as if you're giving yourself a double chin. If you don't have range, you're gonna be moving automatically into the other way that it's instructed, and that's a bit of a nod. So because the foam roller is in the way, it's gonna force me into nodding. Just be gentle with the movement. Okay. The last technique is a combination of using the foam roller and doing a stretch. This is often known as child's pose, but we're going to be rolling into the foam roller as we open up our shoulder. You can also add rotation by internally rotating and externally rotating your arms. Use the foam roller to gently guide into that movement. Ready? External rotation, internal rotation. And again, I'm pushing into the foam roller. Relaxing and pushing in. Sinking my shoulders into the ground. I'm going to be adding different directions to work more on the side parts of my body. As I use the foam roller to go up towards the left, I'm going to be elongating and stretching out the right side of my body. Working in child's pose. Straight out, push in. As I roll towards the left, I'm elongating the right side of my body. You can go towards the right a few times or towards the left a few times, or alternate, whatever's best for you. Going back to the left side, and then I'm gonna go to my right, which will stretch the left side of my body. It's a good stretch. There's little micro adjustments of different ways to do it. If you want to roll it out slowly or quickly, or there's just so many different ways. You could also use a frictionless surface like on a regular floor that doesn't have any texture, and then you could use a towel that will easily slide to help you get into these movements. Pushing down, driving the shoulder into the ground. And if you go towards your left, you're opening up the right side body. I'm gonna do 5 on each side. It's so lovely. When you feel tension and tightness, keep working until you feel that start to let go and relax. That's a good indicator that you've done enough. Foam roller should be a nice way to gently be progressing your range of motion, decreasing your pain and tissue tightness as we continue to make our bodies as best as possible so we can live our best, most functional quality of life and have long-term longevity, health, and overall wellness. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.